I was always like, yo, what, like, what's mine is mine. Like, if I was ever gonna have somebody pregnant, I was like, yo, we got this.
Right.
But when it came to that morning, she's about to have the abortion. I was sitting there like, dang, and I was conflicted. Like, yo, she's really about. She says she wants to, but is she saying it because I doubt it, or she's saying it or because I asked her, or if I hesitated, or if I wasn't like all gung ho about it, like yo, so she just doing that for me, or my, so I'm just back and forth. We get into the spot, and I'm sitting there. Everybody's sitting around, and the thing that struck me and really blew my mind was the routine that was happening around me. Yeah. So I'm sitting in there, and it was just like, they're calling names, blah 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 blah, and they're coming up, like routine, like, okay, and they're like, be right back. I'm like, damn, and I'm just sitting there like, so she's sitting there, she's nervous, and they called her name, and so she started to walk away, right? And as she's walking, I had an outburst. I jumped up and I was like, nah, yo, let's talk about this, right? So she was like, you want to talk about this? And I was like, yeah, I want to talk about this. I was like, I don't want you to do it, right? So everybody's sitting there looking like, yo, like, so some people started clapping, and then I was like, yo, let's go, we leaving, right? So she was like, yeah, I don't want to do it either. And I'm like, all right, come on, we're going. So we left. And so we sitting in the car. She's like, yo, did we just do that? I'm like, yeah. I was like, yo, forget that, man. Fuck that. Nah, I said, I said, we're not doing that. Nah, we're not doing that. I said, we're gonna work till I got you, right? And so we start going through the whole process. I let the families know, everybody know we're going through the process, and then she loses the baby along the way. And that was a lesson for me that I said, it was deep, because when I reflected on it, I said, wow. I said, God was giving me a gift, and I doubted the gift that he was giving me. And for that, he took it from me. At the moment that I knew, he took it from me. So I said, yo, if I'm ever in that position again, I'm going to speak my mind. It's her choice, but I'm going to speak my mind truly, so she knows where I stand. You know what I'm saying? And, with no doubt, with clarity. And then you see my boys now. You see how my boys doing, and the blessings with both my sons, and it's like I always think back to that, like, wow, man, like the greatest lesson he taught me was never to doubt. Like, it was like it was deep for me. It was like, yo, all right, yeah, you did the right thing, but you doubted me. You doubted you doubted that I got this. That and I put that power in. Before your doubt, you're not ready yet. I'm taking that from you, so that the next time it happens to you, you know. You know what I mean? And so when Noah was and by the way, same woman, she's my wife now. When Noah when she was pregnant again with Noah, it was no doubt. I was like, she was like, I'm pregnant. I was like, oh, all right, yeah, let's go. All right, like let's get this going. Doing backflips. I was like, because I wanted to make sure that spiritually and the energy wise that I knew that, and he knew that I wasn't doubting that gift at this time. You know what I'm saying?
I get that, and that's one of those things where I look at I think I had told you about the situation that happened with my ex before I got with my wife.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think for every situation that happens like mine, where someone manipulates the situation, there's a uncertain, scared woman that, in your situation, as far as your wife, she was like uncomfortable with it and didn't really know how to make the decisions about it. And so I guess we have to balance and consider those things when we talk about this, because every woman is not like my ex-girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? So that really hitting for me, because I didn't think about it from the perspective that there are some dudes that are out here just making babies, and they are leaving them with women, and just not thinking about what their decision making is.
Right.
But there are guys like me where I was willing to take the child. I'm willing to take them and raise them, and whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see them when you want to, but you know, of course, but out of spite, she said, "Oh, I don't want you around. I don't want her around my child." So she didn't want my wife because she didn't like my wife that much or envy her so much. She was willing to take a life, you
Mm.
know, and you know, it was just so much that hurt went behind it. I like it that affected me because I want to be a good father. Like if I fathered a kid, I want to be there for him. I want to show
Mm.
him and give him what I never had. Like that's why this affects me so much because I want to make sure that kids have a good father because a father can change a life.
Oh yeah, you know,
So
and
many
that's why I
ways.
told you, like with my you know, my grandmother, you know, she was an evangelist. She was very spiritual. She went through a lot of amazing things in her life where it was just like, you know, you sit there, scratch your head like, this is like what? Like, you know, and it was all built off of spirituality and her faith, like how she
Mm.
overcame sickness and overcame a lot of things that you hear in storybooks where you're like, nah, really? And then like you know, she's a living testimony of that. She was, you know, when she was alive. And,
Mm.
you know, she was like 20 years old on her deathbed and lost all the weight in her body. And she climbed out of the bed and reached for the Bible in my grandfather's army jacket at the time. And when she opened it up, it said, have faith, right? And from there, she just started like changing her mindset and just moving around. And then the doctors back then were like amazed how she just got her weight back. She just started like when they put her, you know, on her deathbed, you know, sent her home to die. And she lived. She would hear voices that said, "If you follow me and you know, do my bit, you know, do my word and do my bidding, you will live to see your grandchildren and blah, you know, all of that." And she, you know, she passed away at 90 something. She went from 20 on her deathbed to passing away at 90 something years old, and
Hold
you
on
know,
a minute.
living a full life. Now, I say that because in that journey, when I came around, she when I was like 6, 7 years old, she looked at me and she would call me Papa Talk. And my first name Talk Bear, but she would call me Papa Talk. And everybody would just laugh like, "Yo, he's like 5, 6 years old. Why you calling him Papa Talk?" And she was like, you know, she would just keep saying it. And so later on, like my mother asked her, like, "Why do you keep calling him Papa Top? Why you give him that nickname?" And she's like, "Yo, because his purpose in life is going to be a father. That's where his purpose is going to come from." And then they still didn't understand it. But then, like now, my parents, when they look at it and see everything that I've done, and those who know me and know what's going on, my children have a movement going on in New York City, like the kids empowering kids movement. That's like is washing over the whole land. It's amazing. You know, these young, you know, 11, 12-year-old kids who are making speeches, noise, education, everything. Like they're out there doing it, you know. And that's why I say, like, when that situation happened, you know, that's why I say God was preparing me, because he was like, "Yo, you know, you're running away from your purpose and what I put you here for, because you're going to be known, you know, before you leave this earth, you're going to be known for what you do as a father and impact the greatest people, you know, through that." And that, you know, and so that was what was so sobering about it. And yeah, you know, you're right, man. Like, it's, you know, because I knew, like, deep down inside, I knew, you know, my wife, who was my girl at the time, I knew, like, she was so into me that she was just like following my lead. You know what I'm saying? And I knew it. Like, and I was trying, and like in my like, I was trying to ignore it. Like, yo, because of my fear. I was like, nah. She made the choice. She said no. She said no. So she said no. But deep inside, I'm like, you know very well, if you say yes, she's gonna be like yes. Like you like stop fooling yourself. And that's where, when I got caught in that room and I saw them just taking people back there, like, you know, the way people were just so relaxed. And so, like, it was like we're at the mall or something. That's
Good
what
morning,
tripped
Wild.
me out.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Doing well.
Hi, my name is Trinity. It's nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you.
Greetings, Trinity.
Hello,
Let me
Trinity.
preference this. I just had to
Hey,
kick somebody
Quell.
out.
How are you?
I'm good. Let me preference this for people in the comments. So let's
Okay.
try to keep it respectful. And whatever you might feel about something, because I just had to kick somebody out because they just kept saying like weird stuff. So let's try
That
to keep
happens.
it respectful because we're just having a conversation. But anyway,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, me?
I was actually
Oh,
gonna excuse myself so Trinity could come up, but before I left, boom, clot, I wanted to say something to unlock the bars, and then Eli left. Like shit just happens the way it's supposed to, without us having to do anything.
Mhm.
Um, I guess my brethren's gone, and and that's that.
So what do you
Oh,
got on this?
okay. He's probably gonna he can probably watch this. That story. Yeah, I'm very grateful that you shared that.
But so I don't know.
I got shivers when you mentioned the kids movement, the youth. That's where the power is at.
Oh
We got
yes.
to, raise them up strong. Um, I'm just sending you all that you need, all
Thank
that
you.
you need to do. You already have it, but like I'm just adding some because that's what happens when you're in your purpose. You get it pressed down and shaken together and running on.
Yes, yes.
So
Thank you.
So so so
yeah.
what so what so what do you got on this Trinity?
okay, yeah. Well, for those who don't know me, I do take notes. So, um, all right. So the first thing I do want to say is that my principles, philosophies, and foundation of truth that I live by won't allow me to accept anything outside of spirit, right? And I think that both men and women who engages in intercourse without protection consents to babies and diseases. That's it.
Mm,
And that's the bottom line. So pro-choice for me is just what it is. People get to choose to complain about what they want to complain about. They get to choose what laws they want to see, and like we have freedom of choice. So that alone is pro-choice. It's pro-choice around the board, across the board, should I say? It's people allowed to do whatever they want. I can't stop anyone. I can only be responsible for my intentions, my reactions, and my actions. That's it.
yeah.
I'm not really bothered by what people choose to do, and I can care less who follows.
Right.
Now, I do have a story of my own on the topic. So, with my last daughter, similar to the gentleman below me, I got all the way to the table and
Mm,
change my mind.
wow.
I couldn't do it. I could not do it.
Mm,
Um, I started to feel suffocated. I started to
right.
imagine, limbs being torn and, a human baby being just ripped apart. And I could imagine it screaming without a sound. That's what God showed me. And
Mm,
I couldn't do it. And she was born on Christmas Day. Now,
wow.
she served a greater purpose that I never knew back then, but God foreseen, because we do have a foreseeing God, right? And
Mm,
God foreseen his purpose for me, which is to help others today build better relationships with themselves, others, and God. It took her to be sexually violated by my ex-husband in order for me to find myself like Job in the
mm,
midst of the ashes, contemplating life, contemplating my existence, and questioning God. And like Job, a revelation came to me to where I needed to seek God because I didn't know God then. Oh, but he and we have a beautiful relationship today.
mm,
But without her birth, without her existence, without God showing me whatever he needed to show me so that I can change my mind, allows me to help hurting people so that they can stop hurting people. Because hurting people hurts people.
mm-hmm.
So, like Jesus came to save the world, I came to heal the hearts of others. But I couldn't heal the hearts if I couldn't feel their pains.
Mm.
And the greatest pain I felt was her hurt. That crushed me.
Mm.
That humbled me. And that let me know I am not in control of anyone's actions.
Mm.
Because he knew I went through the same thing from the ages of 6 to 12. I was violated in my own home by 3 different men, 3 different boyfriends of family members. The
Mm-hmm.
first time I told, my parents never believed me. So when it happened again, I didn't say a word. He knew that. His mother and his aunts were the same way with their father, their biological father, for most of their lives.
Mm.
So God prepared me from when I was a child for my purpose here today as a grown woman. And he has rewarded me with a great husband, a mentally wealthy child who forgave him, so that I can, because I made a vow to God that if he helped me heal, I will do 2 things. I will help others, especially those who are going through it by themselves like I was. And also, if he did exist, I will bring that man back to him. When he was released from prison, I wanted to keep my vow, but I also wanted my child to know too. And I asked her, would it be okay if I, brought so-and-so back to God so that I can help him heal, so that he never does it again to others?
Mm.
She said yes. I said, but I'm going to let you know, I forgive him. She said, well, I forgive him too. That was the start of the healing process for others.
Deep.
That's crazy.
That's deep. That's deep. There's a book out about my grandmother called "Speak to the Mountain," and your story resonates like similar to my grandmother's story, because my grandfather was abusive after he got back from the war, and there's a part where it's like almost the same words. Like she was saying, talking to God, and she was like, I forgive him, and before I go, I want to bring him back to you, and I want to have him saved. And you promise, if I live a certain way and I live and I do your word, will you save this man before I go? And it's deep. It was a deep story of that journey between them in their relationship, all the way until he passed away. That's powerful.
Yeah, and he found his way back. He found
Yeah.
his way back to God, and he's helping others now, and I am so proud of him. I am so proud of him, because what I didn't know was that he was violated as a child.
Right.
And he never got help. He never got help. So he tried to regain that power back in the way he lost it. And that's what most of us do. That's why hurting people hurt people. When our feelings get hurt, we want to hurt the person back. And if it's words that hurt us, we're going to use words to hurt them as well. When they use violence, if we are strong enough, we're going to retaliate in violence. That's why you can never put out a fire with fire. That's the stupidest saying ever. That's right up there with, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, why the hell give me a cake if I can't eat it? That's stupid. So, let's be reasonable here, right? Like, you could have kept the damn cake. It's like putting crack in front of a crackhead and saying, "Oh no, but you can't smoke it too." Well, then I don't have it. So we have to realize that our pains are not our own. If you can learn to turn it into a purpose outside yourself, and then you will realize it was all the worthwhile. And if you can get the same results again, you would do it all over again, because you already now know what to expect.
Yeah, because you can see it. You can see it for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, man, is like I look at my personal situation, and I just was having this conversation with my wife. Um, just everything that happened to me, like I really had got really low last night. Like I didn't really. It was just I was just down, and I couldn't get up, and I just felt like a whole lot of sadness yesterday. Um, and she was just talking to me, and it was like I couldn't really hear anything else. Like I was just sitting in it. And she helped me a lot. But then I got on with talk, like you guys was like up there talking, and I just laughed, and that laughter
Yeah.
just it did something to me, and it was just like I was okay then. So I think sometimes we have to. I'm to a point where I don't allow myself sometimes to not be okay, because I try to act like sometimes we try to be okay all the time, and sometimes we just need to feel what we're gonna feel, but not get stuck in it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We need to experience it to a certain extent, because if not, it'll wind up putting us in a state that we may not like.
Right. Right. Right.
If I
Yeah,
may,
man.
Hmm.
feelings, right? Feelings serve such a great purpose. In fact, it serves many purposes. One, it lets you know where you are vibrationally. The lower you feel, the farther away from God's space you are. The better you feel, the closer to God's space you are. So we should always strive to feel good. We got to be able to give ourselves permission to not want to feel bad, just so that we can remain right. Because at the end of the day, you will never be wrong. Even when you realize that you were wrong in that moment, again, you're right. So you don't have to defend your rightness. It's yours. You don't have to justify your experiences. They're yours. And if people can't see it, who cares? you
Hmm.
know,
Right.
that's their crap.
Right.
Not my monkey, not my circus. I have my own clowns to deal with. That's my greatest motto. you know, and so be okay knowing that you are always right and you don't need anyone to validate your rightness. And if you need someone to validate your rightness, that's another indicator to let you know that, well, maybe you're not as strong in your belief as you thought that you were, and you need someone else, to agree so that you can feel comfortable along your path. That was the case for me in the beginning when I discovered how great the Bible was, right? Now it
No,
doesn't
no,
matter. I'm sorry?
no. I was saying, I agree with you. And that, I guess that's why I was saying that you have to know. You got to know that you know it, and it's not something that, I guess it goes to the thing about knowing that you have a thought to yourself. I think we had this when we first met. Me and you were
Mm-hmm.
having this conversation, Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not believing it just because I'm doing it to please someone, or I I like that. I want the energy that someone else has. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I don't strive to be right. I'm right. Okay, I am right. I don't care. I'm right. I'm going to always be right. But am I doing things correctly? I strive to do things correct in accordance to the results that I desire. Because if you do a certain thing a certain way, you will always yield that certain result. You can't do something else and expect to get, another thing. It's just not going to, that's insanity.
Insanity.
That's what Albert Einstein meant in doing the same thing the same way, expecting a different
Different
outcome. It's
result.
insane.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's insanity. So you do a certain thing a certain way, you'll always get that certain result. So you can make as many excuses as you want to why you're not doing the thing you already know you need to do to get the result. Life doesn't care about your feelings. Facts over feelings. Okay, life can care less about your feelings, and life does not owe you understanding.
Hmm.
There's too many people on this planet that don't know you that don't care to know you, that'll never get it right according to you. You know what? Just allow people to be. Another thing about feelings, right, is that it's a part of you. It's neither good or bad, like my sister below me said. Nothing is ever good or bad. Things just are. Everything holds a zero neutral balance. It, like value, should I say. It's us, the observer, who determines the conditions of that thing. We determine based on how it makes us feel, right? If that's good or if that's bad. 2014, life was bad. 2022, that situation is good.
Yeah. So I guess if somebody had a question. They were saying, sometimes I'm wrong. However, it's okay to be wrong because it teaches you, no?
Yeah, you're learning. You're learning that, this way is no longer serving me because I know another way. So I'm going to do the better way.
Would that be subjective too, though? Can't that be subjective based off of your experiences?
That is subjective. Everything is subjective. Life is experienced subjectively. Our reality are subjective. We hold our own reality. Life is taking place strictly in our minds, in our headspace. There's nothing going on outside of us. Nothing is going on outside of us. Everything is taking place in the mind. Through perspective and perception.
Say something?
Sure.
The two of you, like, Quell, thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of you. You've given me something, and that's what always happens in my life. So thank you for being here. There's so much power in forgiveness. My left breast, I named my left breast forgiveness because of the peace that comes when you forgive. Because of just the peace. Peace is so sweet. So when you said, thank you for forgiving my brother and thank you for teaching my sister forgiveness, she followed you and you were walking to the light, and I give thanks because shit, like I'm super, super encouraged to be forgiving now, like, like even more so. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this time and the experience. I got the messages that I was supposed to. I love it. I love that. I give thanks for divine guidance. I'm gonna leave you guys though. It's 10 p.m. here.
But before you go, can I leave you with something to take with you?
Sorry?
I said before you go, may I give you something to take with you?
Please.
I know myself as spirit, and as spirit I know myself as a child of God. Thereby, by default, you are all a child of God, right? I remember, however, I recognize that everyone else has forgotten. As such, forgiveness is not only for me, but it shows you your worth. The same way God shows me my worth through forgiveness. There's nothing I can do that God will never forgive me for. God will forgive me for everything because God is a God that is now, a forgiving now. The ing, the suffix after the root word forgive, ing means present tense. God is the same yesterday, today, and will be forever. So if God was forgiving then, God is still forgiving now. There's nothing I can do that can make God not love me, not see my worth, because God don't make junk. God sees the beauty in my ashes, because God knows that I am in his image and likeness. So if I forgive you, it demonstrates to you just how worthy you are in the eyes of God. Because people can only see God through me. I can see God through you. Forgiveness is such a great thing. It sets the record straight. And it allows a person to want to repent and want to give back. Because they know just how good it felt when they were forgiven. And they want to extend that love and gratitude onto someone else. Just because they can.
Thank you for
Thank
coming up,
you.
Tin. Thank you, and thank you for
Yes.
your input. I hope you have
I
a wonderful
appreciate
night.
it. I appreciate the time.